What is going on? And welcome back to another episode of I Coach Nutrition Radio. Good morning here on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Hope everybody is having a great start to their day. I hope they're having an awesome start to their week. I'm excited to dive into the next topic here of the podcast, which is going to be over the 6 dimensions of deep health, right? So deep health, it doesn't come from a pill or an operation. Deep health comes from a balanced diet of fresh, whole foods. It comes from sufficient exercise combined with genuine rest. It comes from fresh air and clean water. It comes from real human connection and sincere emotional expression. And it comes from living with purpose and joy and using your life as an expression of these things, right? So when you think about deep health, this is very much so a multi-dimensional process, right? To help you as the person thrive in all aspects of your life, not just nutrition and fitness, right? Not just body fat percentage and blood work, but also factors like how people think, how they feel, how they live, and how they connect to others, right? So this is not I'm gonna keep this simplistic, right? This is not going to go into some of the higher levels of psychotherapy, but I want to communicate this in a way to help you to be able to understand how healthy eating and lifestyle practices affect every aspect of your well-being, right? And how every dimension of deep health affects the eating and lifestyle practices that you have. Okay. All right, so here are the 6 dimensions of deep health. Okay, you've got the physical. Okay, this is feeling vibrant, energized, and thriving, performing and functioning well. You've got emotional. Okay, this is experiencing a full range of emotions and expressing them appropriately. You've got environmental. This is knowing your everyday surroundings, support your health and well-being. You've got relational. This is being connected and authentic with others, feeling supported and like you belong. You've got existential, which is feeling a sense of meaning and purpose in life. And then number 6, you've got mental, being alert, focused, confident, and thoughtful, learning, remembering, and solving problems well. Okay, so those are the 6 dimensions of deep health, right? These areas of health are deeply entwined and strongly connected. Right. So, you've probably heard it before, right? You probably heard that how we feel can affect how we eat, right? And you've also probably noticed that people with supportive families, strong connections at their gyms, or welcoming fitness communities, right? Such as running or cycling groups, CrossFit gyms, F45s, Orange Theories, whatever it may be there, are more likely to show up for their workouts, right? Or that people with a clear purpose, self-stories that foster healthy activities, or the willingness to change suffering into action are more likely to stay motivated and succeed, right? And so every dimension of deep health influences eating and exercise behaviors, okay? And that's what deep health is all about, thinking about this from a more holistic approach, more from a 10,000 foot view here. All right. So what I want to do is I want to give some examples here of clients, right? And I want to see how this translates into real life. All right. So I'm going to give you a few different examples here. Example number 1, right? The client is a dedicated runner with an injury. Okay. They can't run properly, which means they can't train, and they are getting deconditioned. That's the current state of their physical health. But because of this situation, they are also feeling depressed and frustrated, which is emotional health. They're lonely and disconnected, missing their weekend run clubs and races. This is relational health. And they're starting to wonder what the point of anything is. This is existential health. Okay, that's example number 1. Example number 2, the client works long hours at a high-stress job. Okay, so they sit at a desk, which affects their physical health via inactivity and back/neck pain. They don't get their proper sleep. This is physical health impact again. And because of this situation, they are also anxious and stressed, right? Answering emails late at night, emotional health. Arguing with their partner about working too much, relational health. spending most of their time in a windowless cubicle with takeout food a phone call away. This is environmental health. And they are on the cusp of a midlife crisis, existential health. Now, right, here's the really cool part. The problems are connected, but hear me on this, but so are the solutions, right? So struggling in one dimension of deep health usually means struggling in others. But there's a flip side here too, right? Improving one dimension can also improve others, right? And this is kind of the power of what we reference as deep health coaching, right? Maybe I'm able to help an injured client find alternative activities and mentally manage their pain, right? For example, maybe I introduce them to water sports or swimming, right? Maybe I help them normalize injury and work on rehab, right? Maybe I help them get back to movement, right? So that they feel happier. They meet new friends at, something like the pool or something like a water sport, right? Or maybe I'm able to, give a stressed out client some relaxation techniques, right? A bit of mobility work to do at their desk, right? And a number of healthy meal delivery services, right? Plus, I just simply empathize, right? You've heard me say it before, an empathetic problem solver. I just simply empathize with their challenges that they're going through, right? And ultimately help them to overcome their struggles. This is where the empathetic problem solver comes in, right? So in that situation, they calm down a little, they move more in their day, they concentrate better, right? And as a result of better focus and hence productivity, even find time to come home half an hour earlier, which makes their spouse happier, right? Now we're winning, right? We're starting to get some wins here. We're starting to stack up some little wins that transition into big wins, right? So if you think to yourself, kind of the takeaway here thus far is if you pull a lever in one dimension of deep health, and gears in other dimensions will also move, right? So you've got to use these connections between deep health dimensions to your advantage. If one area is off limits or temporarily broken, try another one, right? And so deep health looks different for everyone. For a young stay-at-home parent, it could be balancing a certain pant size with weekly ice cream night with their kids. For an elite power lifter, it might be pushing their bench press without screwing up their shoulders or social life. For a retiree in their 70s, it may be mobility over medication, staying off blood pressure pills, and enjoying long walks with their spouse. Right? That's why clients need coaching that's individualized and thoughtful. Right? This is where I Coach Nutrition came in 5 years ago. Right? The I in I Coach stands for individualized coaching. 100% individualized coaching, because nobody else in this world has the same life that you live. Right? And yes, there are, some big picture items here that matter. I always kind of talk about sleep and nutrition and exercise, hydration, stress management, but these are just the big rocks, right? As we kind of interweave them, into your life, it's all going to be an individualized approach just based off so many different factors that go into it. All right. So deep health isn't about rules or ideals, right? It's about exploration and invitation. Right. So we have to explore, right? Me as a coach, I've got to explore my client's world in order to find areas of growth and improvement and learning. Right. Then I have to invite them, right, to do that growth and learning along with me as their coach. Right. And what this does is it offers you, as a client, essentially unlimited possibilities. Right. In a very long-term, right, lucrative and fulfilling coaching relationship for both myself as a coach and for you as a client. All right. So where do we start? Right. Well, I just asked the question, right? When I ask the question, my clients will tell me where they need the most help or where they want to flourish more out of those 6, right? So this is not a process of diagnosis. It's not a process of interrogation. Instead, think of it more of just an open conversation, right? Building a story and deepening the coach-client connection, right? And you can I can go into this and casually ask one of these questions, or all of them if I want, right? I can ask it in various ways, right? Gathering data from a range of different cues, right? Like your body language. I can even, from a check-in standpoint, I can add these questions in, and put them into like a check-in form that we're assessing on a weekly basis, right? But ultimately, this simple awareness is enough to spark a conversation about change, right? And so therefore, I can start to guide clients more deliberately towards noticing what might need their attention. So for example, if I find that clients who have trouble sleeping also have trouble managing their appetite, like there could be a correlation there. And we know based off science and current research that there is a correlation there, right? And so if you think about, if you put yourself in my shoes, right, as a coach, simply just telling my clients what to do doesn't typically work, right? So what I have to do is I have to, actually get them to challenge, right? I've got to challenge their beliefs and their traits and their skill sets, their habits that have ultimately been developed throughout the course of a lifetime. And that's why when you think about transforming your habits and transforming your lifestyle and ultimately transforming your life, it's laughable to think that something like this is going to happen in 30 days or 90 days or 75 days, right? This is going to be at an absolute bare minimum, at least a year-long journey. It is a journey that you will be on, right? Because ultimately you're building a lifestyle, right? You're taking yourself from who you are today to the person that you want to become, right? So the question becomes, what's on your garbage list, right? These are the behaviors are total garbage for your health, for your sanity, and for your well-being, right? But you do them anyways, and everyone's got a few, right? Everyone's guilty, right? So this could be weekend overeating. This could be skipping recovery days. This could be not getting enough sleep. This could be, engaging in negative self-talk. This could be stocking the freezer with ice cream every single Friday, right? But basically asking yourself, what is on my garbage list, if you will, right? This is essentially kind of a quick and dirty way to figure out where to prioritize your efforts, right? And ultimately get you started on this path to deep health, right? And it's only just the beginning, right? If you want to, start to truly master, kind of this philosophy, then we've got to start to really ask the right questions. We got to find mind-blowing solutions. And so after you go through kind of this deep health initial assessment, right, we'll start to work on kind of a hypothesis as to how we're going to game plan and strategize going forward, right? So we've got essentially, me as a coach, I've got kind of these two steps, if you will, right? These two roles to play, right? So number one, I got to be kind of a deep health detective here. I got to investigate, right? So in which area or areas does it seem like there may be more to uncover, right? Where is my client struggling most, right? And then from there, I also got to be kind of a deep health Sherpa, if you will, right? I got to be a guide, right? So I got to work on not fixing, right? But more so enhancing my client's awareness, right? And then from there, I've got to collaborate to explore where they can seek help or come up with their own solutions, right? With some more, just simply supportive coaching, right? And so in short, right, I need to let my clients, essentially tell me what they need in order to see results, right? And this could be kind of how we go about this in a sense, right? So this is just kind of like an example, like quick conversation guide, if you will, right? So option one, work your way through each question, right? Searching for places where you want to dig deeper. In those areas, use the follow-up questions to find out more. Option two, skip right to the question that pertains to the area where your client needs the most help, right? And use the initial question to start a conversation, then dive into the follow-up questions to get more detail. So in both of these cases, right, you can use, right, I as a coach can use the action-focused thinking questions to help my clients start brainstorming solutions, right? And they don't have to make any decisions, right, about how to change things right away, but these questions will help get the process started. So deep health dimension number one, physical health, right? How do you feel physically? Sometimes people can tell, you clearly and specifically about their food, exercise, health, mobility, pain, and overall recovery. For instance, maybe they'll say, I'm freaking exhausted because I work 12-hour shifts. My knees hurt from a lot of standing on the job. I have no energy to cook. And so I eat convenient store crap. Great. Now you have a solid direction, right? Sometimes they can't tell you what's up, or they'll say, man, okay, I guess, right? And if that happens, no problem, right? We've got to try some follow-up questions below, which I'll list here, which essentially, we've got to see what the client says in this situation, right? So if I'm not making progress as a coach, right, I can always focus on a different area. But these are some potential follow-up questions. So learn more about nutrition struggles, right? What's your biggest nutrition challenge right now? Find obstacles to movement, right? How do you feel when you exercise? Action-focused thinking. What's keeping you from getting the body you really want? All right. From there, we go into deep health dimension number two, right? So emotional health. How are you doing emotionally? All right. This can be difficult to talk about, but it matters, right? How my clients feel emotionally on a day-to-day basis can impact everything from their nutrition habits to their relationships with others, right? Kind of a pro tip here, right? For many of these questions, what my client doesn't say is almost as important as what they do say, right? So I've got to really be observant as to, the body language cues, especially if they're telling an emotional story, right? Like if they smile rigidly while saying, I want to kill my boss, or seem to collapse like a pile of unwashed laundry while saying, I'm so discouraged with my performance, right? If they give kind of a one-word answer, then I've got to consider kind of pressing the subject farther, right? Maybe there's nothing there, but as a coach, I won't find out unless I ask. So some potential follow-up questions here to that. Understand the ability to deal with emotions, right? So it sounds like you've had a pretty bad day yesterday. How did you deal with that? Evaluate general mood, right? So if you had to describe your overall mood in 3 words, what would they be? And then action focused thinking, right? What do those 3 words above tell you? And is there anything you'd like to change about your emotional health? All right, deep health dimension number 3, mental health, right? What happened last time you were presented with a big logistical challenge? So this area is mostly about how well their mind is working. And this question helps clients evaluate their ability to problem solve, focus, prioritize, and put things in perspective. You'll also get a chance to see what their capacity for insight is like. Okay, do they offer any additional reflections about how they handled the situation or how they could have handled the situation differently? A client who's not doing so hot in this area could be having a hard time focusing at work or constantly forgetting important items on their to-do list. So keep an eye out for the signs that they could benefit from upping their mental game. And again, some potential follow-up questions here. Search for gaps in the organization and mental clarity. How do you keep track of all the things you have to get done in any given day? Assess creativity. Where and when do you have the best ideas? And action-focused thinking. What do you think you need in order to have a clear head? All right, deep health dimension number 4, existential health. Why do you want to make changes to your health? Existential health refers to having a deeper why or feeling like our actions have meaning, right? And so when we have a strong sense of ourselves and what we're here to do, we feel worthwhile. Valuing ourselves then affects how we treat our minds, our bodies, and the people around us. People find meaning in roles as varied as being the best parent that they can be to making the world a better place through their work. The important thing is that your clients find meaning in something, right? So clearly understanding motivations or what's driving the desire to change is also important, right? We can change without knowing exactly what we're doing, but it helps to feel like there's a deeper purpose to the discomfort we're facing. Also on this, right, the more times that from a coach to client, right, I offer a curious question like why, the more likely I'm going to essentially be able to get the real reason you want to make the change, right? The client wants to make the change. And so practicing, me as a coach practicing essentially starting sentences with "I'm wondering about" and "why." Those are great ways to kind of, address this here, right? And a lot of this, I thought it'd be cool just kind of coming from like a coach's perspective here. If you're watching this here as a client, or listening to this as a client, you can just kind of be able to see kind of how the coaching approach can go. So kind of following that up with some follow-up questions, right? So look for overall purpose, what's driving you here, what's lighting a fire under your butt to do this or live life in general, right? Ask about the not why, right? So what's not driving you, right? What do you not care about doing or having? Sometimes it's easier for people to name what they don't want, then you can explore the opposite to uncover what they really value, right? Also gauge their sense of belonging, right? How do you see yourself fitting into the big picture? And then action-focused thinking. What do you think would give your life more meaning? Is there anything you already do that you find meaningful? All right, number 5, deep health dimension number 5, relational health, right? Who in your life is supporting you in this health journey? So social support is incredibly important to success in a health and fitness journey, right? So finding out if my client has it essentially can help better assess their needs, right? If I have a client, if I have a client and they have somebody in mind they know they can rely on for support, it's a good exercise for them to notice and name that person. This question, essentially may also help a client realize they need to ask for support from someone close to them, like a partner or a spouse, right? And so relationships may affect your client's habits without them even realizing it. For example, if their partner prefers to watch TV while eating dinner, it may be more difficult for them to eat slowly and concentrate on their food, right? And so some potential follow-up questions here would be probe for meaningful relationships. So it sounds like person X really matters to you. Can you tell me more about how they support you? Gauge their sense of belonging, right? Where and with who do you feel like you belong? And then again, action-focused thinking. What do you need from the people you are close to in order to succeed? All right, and then last but not least, deep health dimension number 6, environmental health. How do your surroundings affect your health? So everything from food in your house to the weather in your city to the political atmosphere in your country is part of your environment, right? Being and feeling safe, secure, and supported by your environment enables you to make better choices for your health. Having access to resources such as healthcare or healthy food is also part of environmental health, right? And so we can't control some elements of our environment, right? They are more structural and systemic, woven into the fabric of our societies, right? These are called social determinants of health and include things like poverty, racism, homophobia, lack of accommodation for disabilities and displacement, right? In the case of refugees. In any of these situations, though, it may be difficult to take steps to change someone's environment, right? So what can help is to focus on things you can control wherever possible, right? And so potential follow-up questions here would be determine access to resources, right? Is there anything you feel you need in order to reach your goals that you don't currently have access to? Evaluate their safety and security, right? So where do you feel most comfortable and safe? And then action-focused thinking. If you could change your environment to help you better meet your goals, how would you do so? All right, so that's kind of going over the 6, right? So what do we do next, right? We've got to look at the big picture, right? So by now, you understand how seemingly unrelated factors like someone's relationship and work life might affect their ability to lose fat, gain muscle, and improve their overall health. So for the best results, right, we need to assess, I as a coach need to assess every client for these pillars of deep health, right? Even if they have this like super specific aesthetic goal, I still need to be diving into the other pillars as well, right? And so I need to dig for connections, right? The social bone is connected to the mental bone, right? And is connected to the physical bone and so on, right? So I gotta, essentially I gotta pull a thread out of my client's life with curiosity, assuming that things are related and see what it unravels, right? And this also means that small specific things are a microcosm, right? If a client comes to me with big problems, right, I've got to ask for, particular concrete examples of how those problems manifested, right? So for instance, here's an example. Client comes to me, they say, I eat terribly. All right. Me as a coach, I say, can you tell me a specific situation in the last day or two where you ate terribly? Like one meal, maybe, what was happening then, right? And so on. And then from there, I've got to collaborate with the client, right? So I don't just, as a coach, I don't just tell or direct or lecture or immediately jump in with helpful suggestions, right? Instead, I need to investigate together with them, and I need to ask, I need to learn, I need to listen, right? Because every client needs a unique approach and they need to buy in first, right? And that happens when they feel autonomous, right? And self-determined, right? And when they get to tell their story without judgment from the coach, right? And so essentially all I have to do as a coach is I have to, create an individualized plan, right? And the way that I do that is by asking the right questions, right? And listening to the answers, right? And so the big takeaway here is that coaching is a science, right? But it's also an art. And the science of nutrition can get your clients, the science of nutrition can get me or get my clients, abs or whatever the goal is, right? But artful coaching, right, can make my clients' lives better, right? And if I can combine the two, then I will be setting myself as a coach as well as my clients up for success. Right? At the end of the day, I can't be successful as a coach if my clients aren't successful with accomplishing their goals. Right? And so ultimately, this is one of these things where, I help people build nutrition and lifestyle habits that improve their physical and mental health, right? Bolster their immunity, help them better manage stress and get sustainable results, right? And that's the key, sustainable results. So if you thought this was interesting, I certainly did. Then yeah, comment below or leave a message. Would love to hear your thoughts. But this is definitely, where coaching is going. It's definitely becoming, much more of a holistic approach. It's not just nutrition. It's not just fitness. It's so much more than that, because everything affects everything. And the reality of it is if this was the only thing in your life that you had to focus on, it'd be easy. But the reality of it is you've got a lot of other things going on outside of these nutrition and fitness goals. And so again, everything affects everything. And that's why we have to take a very holistic approach when it comes to coaching. And that's what you'll see more and more of as time goes on here, at least with the great coaches that are out there that are doing great work. Awesome. Well, that's all I've got. I hope y'all have an amazing day and an awesome week, and we'll catch up here soon. Thanks, guys.